Good to have you on the show, and thank you for making your time available. It's our first interview of the year, New Year 2026. I do hope you had time to relax and spend a festive season with father.
Well, we had a very interesting summer. The weather was very bad at the start, and then got very hot at the end, and in between, well, by the time we woke up, we didn't have a chance to do very much
Right.
at all. But
Yeah.
that's right, Ben, at least we had a break.
Right. It's good to hear that. Okay, let's start the morning with visa on arrival petition will arrive in the Parliament of New Zealand tomorrow, and looks like you have the honor of receiving the petition. What is your position on this petition, Vaovasamanaia, and will you commit to a clear timeline for responding to it?
Over the decades, we've had a lot of problems on this issue. And I kind of think that, amongst other things, it's the way we've gone about it. Now, here's the point. The Pacific is our front yard. The second thing is, the Pacific is a conversation with our cousins. And if we approach this thing properly in a cultural way, I think we'll get far better agreement about how we should handle it into the future. In short, when you go to see your cousin, the cousin's still your host. And you still observe your cousin's position and what have you. But the idea of treating, how shall I say it, Pacific people different in terms of obtaining visas and the cost of visas versus others who are getting it for free is just not right. And so, yeah, we are committed as a party, New Zealand First, to do our best to fix it up. But at the same time, we're going to change the framework and way we treat this matter because, as I've said, when I was setting up the seasonal working scheme, this is 2007. And in the case of Samoa, we set it up this way. We said, your village will choose the people to come to New Zealand to work for the seasonal working scheme, and you'll be responsible for how they behave and making sure they go home when the time is up.
Correct. Yeah.
Not us, but you. That's the way Pacific should be operating. So that when we send people abroad, we've got an obligation to ensure that the people who are looking after them, give you an expression, it's called in loco parentis. In loco parentis means in the footsteps of the parent. So when that Tongan or when that Samoan is in New Zealand, the parents there have got a right to expect us to look after them properly.
Yeah.
But the same thing goes the other way. We've got a right to for them to understand that they're in our country and they're going to behave themselves with their cousins. How's that?
Okay, well, Vaovasamanaia Winston Peters, let me ask you, some Pacific communities and leaders feel New Zealand benefits from Pacific labor, but does not reciprocate with mobility. How do you respond to that criticism?
Well, I suppose I've heard people say that. New Zealand benefits from some other country's labor. You know why the other country comes here? Because our wages are 4, 5, 6, 7 times better than theirs. That's the benefit they get. Or we could say, we won't get people from the Pacific, we'll get them from Europe. Now, how would our people in the Pacific like that? That's not the way to go. In short, we both benefit if it's done properly. And so people come here, they might spend 3 or 4 years. Look, when I was a young person as a student, I'm working in the freezing works with a guy, and he's in the Pacific, and he's only here to, guess what? He's here to buy a horse collar for his horse, so he can get back to his islands and start plowing the fields properly, but he hasn't got the equipment. And I was sitting there thinking, this is incredible. That's how basic things were, and that they are. And so, yes, things have moved on. We're living in 2026, but at the same token, we need to have some fundamental principles of respect where we don't have the discord, we don't have the arguments, we don't have the mistaken fallout as we had in recent times. And I'll just give you one example, though. Some of the things that frames us here. A Tongan rugby team, a schoolboy rugby team came to New Zealand. When the tour was over, there not one left to go home. They all stayed illegally. Now, we're saying, we're going to fix this visa thing up, but it goes both ways. Let us have a conversation between cousins. Do it properly.
Okay, Vaovasamanaia Winston Peters, during the election campaign, your party emphasized strong ties with the Pacific. How does your current stance on the petition reflect those commitments?
Because we're setting out to do something better and get the outcome, or as much of the outcome that the petitioners want. But the other side of the coin is this. You'll see other political parties, they always talk about the Pacific, but when it comes to finding the money, the aid and the investment, they never, ever have. You have to go all the way back to Norman Kirk in 1974 to find when they last did anything. All the way back to 1974. But you can't say it about me and my party. In the 3 times we've had this job, we have dramatically stepped up our responsibilities to the Pacific, and we're not, how shall I say, expecting people to believe our words.
Yeah.
We expect them to believe our performance.
Right. Okay. Would you support a pilot program with 1 or 2 Pacific countries to test the impact of visa-free travel, Winston Peters?
We look at any idea that makes sense. When you say visa-free, I think one of the concerns is not so much visa-free, it's visa now. So I get a phone call. I'm told in South Auckland my cousin's dying. I want to be on the plane that afternoon. That's how they want the visa, and I understand implicitly what they're asking for. And so it's speed of that. Otherwise, they don't get to be able to fulfill their expanding responsibilities. That's the parts that we're going to address.
Okay, so final question on this. You are the one receiving the petition. What role will you play in shaping this government response?
They haven't asked us to present this, but they haven't asked the petition to be presented to us by mistake. I think the petitioners understand that there's one party will do something about it. And that's what we're going to do. We're going to ensure that as much as we can get equivalence and fairness and promptness for the Pacific people, we're going to get it.
Okay, well, thank you, Vaovasamanaia Winston Peters. I was looking at the latest polls. New Zealand First is doing really well. 9 months away from election, the 7th of November. Are you still in a stance of not supporting Labour if they want you to be a part of the coalition government?
You don't get to lie to me behind my back like they did when I last gave them a chance. Shook hands with them and I expect them to be honest. And they weren't. I shook hands with Helen Clark and she made sure she was honest with me, so I have no complaint, and I've said that before. But I shook hands with this current crowd, and behind my back, they cheated and they deceived and they lied and they withheld information. Now, would you deal with that, with people like that in the future? The answer is no.
Right. Okay. Vaovasamanaia Winston Peters. My final question is, from you as a Minister for Foreign Affairs, what's your plan for the next 9 months before election?
My plan is to do my utmost to update my department on what the needs of the reaction of New Zealand is to the rest of the world, but the Pacific in particular, which is our front yard. The second thing is to get the resources to help out further in the Pacific. As we've already doing, we've been all the way to Scandinavia and other parts of the world asking for help. And you'd be surprised how countries have said, yes, we want to help. We want to be part of the Pacific solution. And is to ensure that we get the fundings and the programs for resilience that the Pacific needs. That is real change in real time. That's our major commitment in 2026.
The Right Honourable Vaovasamanaia Winston Peters, Whawhetei Te Lelawa, thank you so much for your time. Well, hopefully we'll have more time for you to come on Radio Samoa, and from all of us here, all the best for election on the 7th of November.
Thank you very much.
Whawhetei Te Lelawa.
Now spread the word, eh?
Sure.
Tell your viewers to keep the faith.
Okay, and help us with that petition when it's arrived in the Parliament tomorrow.
Okay.
Thank you. The Right Honourable Vaovasamanaia Winston Peters.